This is the City of Riverbank Regular City Council and the Local Redevelopment Authority Board meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 26, 2019, and it is 6 o'clock p.m. This meeting is also being conducted pursuant to Government Code Section 54953B, as in boy, for teleconferencing of meetings. This meeting includes a teleconference location where Mayor Chair Richard O'Brien will be participating from by a conference call. He is located on the Grand Canyon Room of the Hyatt Regency Washington on Capitol Hill Hotel, 400 New Jersey Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C. I am Vice Mayor Darlene Barber Martinez, also Vice Chair, and I will be presiding over this evening's meeting. Please join me in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Do we have anyone here from the, to do our invocation for the Ministerial Association? If not, please be seated. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Council Authority Member District 1, Luis Uribe.
Here.
Council Authority Member District 2, Cindy Fossey.
Here.
Council Authority Member District 3, Cal Campbell.
Here.
Vice Mayor Chair Darlene Barber Martinez.
Here.
Mayor Chair Richard D. O'Brien.
Here.
Mayor O'Brien, are you able to hear us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you confirm?
Yes,
Can you confirm for the record that the agenda for this meeting was publicly posted 72 hours prior to the meeting, and it is still posted at your location as required by the Brown Act?
It has and is.
Is your location such that any member of the public can participate in this teleconference meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. There are no changes to the agenda. Conflict of interest. Any council authority member or staff who has direct conflict of interest on any scheduled agenda item to be considered is to declare their conflict at this time. Presentations. We have a proclamation for National Library Week, April 7th through the 13th, 2019. Vicki, can you meet me down there? Thank you. So I have a proclamation. This is from the City of Riverbank, National Library Week. Whereas reading and literacy and the freedom to explore information are cornerstones of a free and democratic society. And whereas libraries are a resource for all members of the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or socioeconomic status, by offering services and educational resources that transform lives and strengthen communities. And whereas libraries and librarians promote civic engagement and empower their communities to make informed decisions by providing free and equitable access to information. And whereas libraries offer 24/7 access to library services through online resources such as ebooks, e-magazines, downloadable audiobooks, music, movies, online language instruction, and research databases. And whereas libraries partner with parents and caregivers to empower children to enter kindergarten with the knowledge and skills necessary for success in school and beyond. And whereas libraries, librarians, library workers, volunteers, and supporters in Stanislaus County are celebrating National Library Week. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the City Council of the City of Riverbank does hereby unanimously proclaim April 7th through the 13th, 2019 as Stanislaus County Library Week, and urges everyone to visit their local library to take advantage of the wonderful resources available, provided through the voter-approved 1/8 cent sales tax dedicated to the support of librarians. It's dated March 26, 2019. Thank you, Vicki. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the council and the mayor of supporting the library. And I just want to remind you that next week we have Activated Story Theater on Thursday at 3:30, and so all our programs are free at the library. So if you have any children, send them our way. Thank you.
Spring break.
Public comments, no action can be taken. At this time, members of the public may comment on any item not appearing on the agenda and within subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council, LRA Board. Individual comments will be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes per person, and each person may speak once during this time. Time cannot be yielded to another person. Under state law, matters presented during the public comment period cannot be discussed or acted upon. For record purposes, state your name and city of residence. Please make your comments directly to the City Council, LRA Board. Do we have any public comments?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ramon Bermudez from Roselle Avenue, my dear street. And I wanted to bring to your attention that I had a ticket for something that I didn't know about last November, and I paid it already for $35. That says ordinance number, whatever it is, that I was parked in the front of my place where I live, 6261, and it was over 72 hours, and I have 25 years in this beautiful, dear, wonderful city of Riverbank. And in my life, I never heard of such thing. I thought that there might be a good chance, like if the driver is supposed to be there only 72 hours, maybe they can give me 24 hours notice that I'm going to get a ticket if I don't move it. And if it is in the front of my place, I thought, what's going on? I had a flat tire on the top of it, and was one of the reasons I couldn't get it out of there right away. Anyway, I paid that ticket, and just recently, like within 3 days, I get a ticket on the same Isuzu 2000 that I talked to Chief Kelly, and the ticket is for $135 this time. It was Jackson, and put a ticket for $135, expired registration. And I go, why? If he's putting there expired November 2019, check your brain first, okay? And then check your eyes, and then check your hands, and then check your book. And then check again, that sticker says 1919, and it's month of December, excuse me. What are you doing writing a ticket 9 months in advance? And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention so you can see if I could get from any of you, I don't care who it is, that are from the mayor on down, any council person, manager, my dear lawyer, good evening, Mr. Halnan, and even Annabelle Aguilar can get me a copy of those laws going on about parking over 72 hours, or what the list of that thing says about the city of Riverbank specifically. So I don't have to commit any violations against the law that we don't know. I don't know how many people here are present that they didn't know neither, and now they're going to find out. So before you get that ticket of parking over 72 hours, even if it is in the front of the place where you live, get this. He put there 6200 block. big numbers in the front of the mailboxes. It says 6261, what is it, Roselle Avenue, 6200 block of Roselle. Why didn't he put 6261 right in front of it? That's where the van, Isuzu was parked. So it doesn't matter. I also pass you the information I passed Chief Kelly that Chief Kelly, am I pronouncing it right? Chief Kelly. Then that if they're going to get into this, and it's within 3 blocks, 4 maybe, where I got one and then I got the next one. And if they can please go to the people that live at Crossroads, no pun intended, or live out here at the, I don't know the name at the end of Oakdale Road. You went to that beautiful neighborhood. I've seen a few that they have little weed cresting underneath. That means they've been there a while, but they don't have any ticket for parking over 72 hours. So if they can get extended a little bit more and get to the people who really have the money, not like somebody that is getting poorer and poorer every day when the prices are going of food and things are going higher, and I don't get any more from that. Social Security. Oh, excuse me. I got $17 raise for this year, so I should be counting my blessings instead. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else for public comment? Okay, then we'll move on to our consent calendar. I'm sorry, Mayor, do you have anyone there for public comment?
There's no one here for public comment.
Thank you. Consent calendar, item 3A, waive readings. All readings of ordinances and resolutions except by title are waived. Item 3B, approval of the February 26, 2019 City Council and Local Redevelopment Authority minutes. Item 3C, resolution to approve the cancellation of the regular City Council meeting scheduled on April 9, 2019. Item 3D, a resolution approving the Transportation Development Act Local Transportation Fund non-transit claim for fiscal year 2018-2019, other purposes, and amending the budget for the City of Riverbank to conform to said claim. Item 3E, a resolution adopting the pay schedule compensation plan for part-time classifications to be retroactively effective on January 1, 2019. Do we have anyone from council who would like to pull an item or discuss it further? Do we have anyone from the public that would like to pull any items from the consent calendar or discuss it further? Okay, I'll bring it back to the council for an action.
There's no one here for a discussion either.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion we approve the consent calendar as stated.
I second.
We have a motion and also a second to approve the consent calendar.
Council Authority members Campbell,
Yes.
Foskey,
Yes.
Uribe,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Chair Barbara Martinez,
Yes.
Mayor Chair O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item 4.1, second reading by title only and adoption of proposed ordinance number 2019-003 to approve pre-zoning of the Crossroad West Specific Plan, APNs 074-006-022, 074-006-021, 074-006-016, 074-006-014, 074-006-013, 074-011-009, 074-014-006, 074-014-007, and 074-011-004.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Good evening, Council. The City Attorney is going to address a very late letter that was received and some specifics with regard to this item and comment.
Thank you, Sean, Mayor and Council, the city received a letter from the law firm of Best and Krieger representing the Consolidated Fire Protection District asking that we continue this matter and that they'd been authorized to pursue litigation potentially. We had the public hearing on this at the last meeting. They've presented the letter. We should present the letter for the record, but it will not be part of the public record for purposes of any legal challenge that they want to make. And frankly, that train left the station a long time ago, in my opinion. So for that reason, I see no reason to continue the matter at their request. But we're happy to meet with them, as we always are. But again, for purposes going forward tonight, I see no reason not to.
And just to add to that, there's a lengthy period between today and when this matter is presented to LAFCO for actual annexation approval. And so that gives at least 90 days for us to work, meet with the district. We've already sent out a number of different messages to them, trying to seek a meeting date with interested parties so that we can talk through a number of the items that they outlined in their previous letter, most of which we think are easily addressed with regard to the plan, and then others we'll have to have a discussion about the best way to help them figure out how to manage the project moving forward.
Thank you. Any council member have any discussion?
I have a comment. I'm only disappointed in the fire department because they weren't here last week when we had our first reading. Then this could have been discussed thoroughly. So that's my only disappointment that I want to express. I really thought that they should have been here last week when we had the time to discuss this.
Mayor, do you have any comments?
I have no comment. I have no comment.
Thank you. Open up for public, no?
You just take any public comment, it's not a public hearing.
Oh, okay. So is there anyone that would like to make a public comment regarding item 4.1?
I do have a question on this. I did submit, and a draft came out. This is one of my questions and comments. I also resubmitted it at your last meeting. I've never gotten a straight answer to it either, and I did go to the fire board meeting last night. And it seems to me that there's a lack of communication between the two of you, and it seems to me that those of us paying the assessments, those of us that are residents, are going to get caught in the middle if somebody doesn't talk to somebody and figure this out. Because there's several issues to this thing. There's where the money went, there's who's going to pay the fire station, who's going to pay to staff it, all this stuff. And apparently there's some money out there that we're supposed to have gone from the city to the consolidated, one way or the other, and neither side seems to have any records to it. So I think there's a lot of issues, and I would have appreciated if Mr. Anderson would have responded to my questions.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, then I bring it back to the council so that we can take a vote.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, we'll accept this letter for purposes of the minutes of our meeting tonight, but that would be it.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept item 4.1 as stated.
I'll second it.
We have a motion for item 4.1 and a second.
Council members Campbell,
Yes.
Foxy,
Yes.
Uribe,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Barbara Martinez,
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item 4.2, second reading by title only and adoption of proposed ordinance number 2019-004, approving a development agreement by and between the City of Riverbank and Western Pacific Holdings, Inc.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Same comments apply that the city attorney just mentioned with regard to the written correspondence and any other comment that may be expressed, that they're not a part of the public hearing on either of these matters, as those matters are closed. And there's no change. The only changes, there are no changes actually to this item. So it's as presented last meeting, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if council has any.
Okay. Council, do anyone have any questions? Is there any public comment? Mayor, any comment from your side?
No comment.
Thank you. Get a motion or action?
I'll make a motion we approve item 4.2.
I'll second it.
We have a motion to approve item 4.2 and a second.
Council members Campbell,
Yes.
Foxy. Yes. Uribe,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Barbara Martinez,
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item 5, we have no public hearings. Item 6.1, a resolution approving the exception of Riverbank Municipal Code Section 94.06 of Chapter 94, park regulations that prohibits alcohol in city parks to allow for the sale of alcohol during the city's 2019 Riverbank Summer Concert Series event at Jacob Myers Park.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm very pleased to introduce, I think, giving her first staff report this evening, Julia, who is our recreation supervisor. She's been here for a year?
A little less than a year.
A little less than a year. And came up with Sue Fitzpatrick a really great idea to use Jacob Myers in a way that hasn't been used in some time. And she's going to talk to you a little bit about the Summer Concert Series and a request she has for it.
Yes, good evening, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, and Mayor O'Brien over there on the telly. I'm here today to request an exemption from Ordinance 94.06, prohibiting alcohol in city parks, specifically for the Summer Concert Series, to allow us to have a craft beer booth at the concert series. So first, I'll tell you a little bit about the event. This is the bands and the dates that we have confirmed so far. We're planning on having this on Fridays in June, and we've been working closely with FM Concerts to confirm some of the bands. We've got a couple country bands starting off the night, Wilbur Downs, and then Valley Fire from Oakdale. We've got Triple D Classic Rock Band on the third night, and then we'd like to end off the concert series with a Hispanic night. We'll go ahead and announce that band as soon as we have it confirmed. So a little bit about the plan for each night. We're hoping to open up the event at 5 o'clock, and at that point we would open up to craft vendors and food vendors, as well as this craft beer truck. We have St. Stan's, a local craft brewery in Modesto, that has offered to come out, pour, and then donate a percentage of their proceeds to the Friends of Jacob Myers Park. So that would be the craft beer element. And then the live music would start at 7 o'clock. We would encourage the community to come on out, bring their lawn chairs, blankets, and enjoy the music from 7 o'clock on, and then ending the event before dark. So in order to kind of, I guess, delegate this craft beer area where people would be allowed to have alcohol at the park, this is a layout that we're looking at. So we have our playground area, and then to the right-hand side, we have that really nice, beautiful grass area with a lot of oak trees providing a lot of shade. And we have the stage stationed so that neither the band or the guests are looking into the sun. And we also have that kind of orange square you can see. We'll have that delineated off so that only people that are carrying craft beer can access that area of the event. They can't go around the whole park. That will allow our additional staff and security to have a specific area to monitor during the event rather than having a larger area to monitor. So I want to talk a little bit about promotion for this event. We have our kind of normal promotional ways that we do like to reach our community with our banners, flyers around town, and in the activity guide on our social media. These are really great for reaching the people that are currently in our programs. Something that we're really hoping to do for this event in particular is a radio advertisement on Cat Country during the week before the festival. And that's really hoping to get some of the local community in Escalon and Modesto and Oakdale to also come out and enjoy this event. And what I also included on there is word of mouth. I actually find that in a lot of our programs, when I'm talking to participants, when I ask how they heard about it, it's usually, oh, my friend or my sister. And so I did want to encourage the community and you all to spread the word and let us know if you have any questions. You can always give our department a call. We're really excited to provide an event at Jacob Myers that's free to the public, and just enjoy those warm summer nights in Riverbank and celebrate some of the live music in our community. So in conclusion, I do want to ask for an exemption from the Ordinance 9.406 to allow us to have a craft beer booth at the festival for the following dates at Jacob Myers Park. Do y'all have any questions for me?
One question.
Yeah.
For the radio advertising, are you guys going to be advertising on a Spanish station too for that fourth one?
We don't have any plans to. It is a little costly, the radio advertising, so we're kind of looking into some options that are cost effective for us that we can get sponsored still. So, but we can actually look into that. That'd be a good idea. Any other questions for me?
Just a question and a comment.
Okay.
So the question is, park closes at dusk, right? So when it starts to get dark, so everything will be...
Normally, unless we're having an event.
So what is the ending time for this?
We would hope to end before dark and kind of get all those guests out.
Okay.
So that the lighting is still adequate enough.
Okay, and so the back part of the park will be closed off, right?
Lot B, we are thinking about opening up if we need to. We're hoping that we can keep everybody parking in that front parking lot. But if we have more guests, then we do have the option to open up Lot B in the back.
Okay, and then it would be great if we had our electric sign where it would help us to advertise.
That would be great,
I know it's coming, I know it's coming, but it would be great if we had it, so. That was my comment. Thank you.
I'd just like to make a quick comment. From reading your brief that's in our notes, it looks like you've got it very well organized. And I think this is something good for the city. I think you've got it very well under control, and I hope everybody has a lot of fun. And I'm hoping to get down there myself and listen to some of the music.
Wonderful. We can't wait to see you. Anything else?
I do have.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Okay. On the Cat Country, you have Cat Country. Aren't they coming out to the city in April during Earth Day?
Do I have Cat Country coming out?
Yes.
It wasn't something that I organized, but and maybe I've been a different group that organized that.
Normally they come out around April 20th to celebrate Earth Day in Riverbank, and they can also promote. But also Riverbank Direct is another one that will advertise free for us. And going along with Councilmember Uribe's comment, we should look for PSAs in the Hispanic radio and publications. So if we could have someone from your office take a look at the Hispanic publications for PSAs would be perfect.
Okay, absolutely.
No other questions? Thank you very much. Good presentation. I look forward to it.
All right.
So action item for us for item 6.1.
I make a motion that we approve item 6.1.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is there any public comment?
I'm sorry, I forgot. Public comment. Open it up for public comment. Sorry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council, acting mayor, vice mayor, and gentlemen, and Annabelle, and all of you. With the Festival of Cheese and Wine, or Wine and Cheese, whichever you want to call first, it's a lot of fun and everything, but it's very well controlled. There is no cars coming into the area and coming out and so on. Less trouble that way. But what does it stop to any of the people that like to come over and drink in the park from taking it in the car? You know, they're going to have it in the trunk or whatever. They can hide it behind the seat or whatever it is. And if there's going to be any checking, then they're going to hold down the line. But if you don't sell any alcohol, then the police or security guards or whoever might take care of the security and safety of the people that comes, then there is no reason for anybody to have any alcohol, including beer. And so if you don't include that alcohol at the park, it will be very much appreciated, because also children come up, and usually there is squabbles, and as good as you have it, it's in the dark, it's in the nighttime, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult to enforce it. And that way, you don't have sales in the park or beer, you're better off in the long run, you end up with less trouble. And yeah, the ones that come over all drunk and everything, well, they have it in the stomach already. They have all the fun they want, but of not consuming alcohol at the park would be a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
There's public comment here. Go ahead.
Hello, this is Rosa Park with the San Luis Council of Governments, and I just want to say that we support this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? I close public comment. Bring it back to the council.
Okay, now I make a motion to approve item 6.1.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve item 6.1 and a second.
Council members Campbell,
Yes.
Fossey,
Yes.
Uribe,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Barbara Martinez,
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Item 6.2, a resolution to authorize and create a security and traffic camera pilot program and direct the city manager to enter into necessary agreements with QPCA for camera leases and to appropriate funds from the Public Benefit Fund to pay for said leases.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. One small correction on the agenda. It is QPCS, so it's just a typo. Thank you, Vice Mayor. As Council is aware, during the past two strategic planning sessions, there's been an interest by the City Council to explore security and traffic camera systems here in Riverbank. Up until fairly recently, that prospect was very difficult from a financial perspective for a number of reasons, which I'll get into briefly in a moment here. But with the public benefit fee that's been established through the two cannabis businesses that have been approved in Riverbank, there's an opportunity to use some of those funds, if council would like, to dip our toes in, so to speak, into the security camera system. Initially, when staff began researching different options, it appeared to be infeasible at first from a financial perspective, primarily because, separate of the revenue that exists, there's a pretty significant upfront investment for the hardware, the installation, the training, and then the ongoing data management of these systems. And so, and without sort of any knowledge about how useful they would end up being or not being to the city, it felt like a significant investment for something that is unproven, at least in Riverbank. Talked with the chief quite a bit about this over the last year and a half, and it just so happens that a company that's local out of Ceres, QPCS, they've been in the city IT business in the past and now have sort of transitioned generally into cameras for a variety of jurisdictions, both public, semi-public, and private here in California. Not only do they sell the full systems to cities under CMAS contracts, they also are CMAS vendors as it relates to lease options, which is what we discussed when we met a couple months ago. The reason why it's an attractive component, and we're bringing it forward for council consideration, is that it eliminates the upfront investment and still allows us to enjoy many of what we think are going to be the benefits of these cameras. And if, for example, they don't end up working out for us or they're not as effective as we thought, it's a one-year agreement, and after that time, we can simply move on to some other solution. Alternatively, if it works really well, there are options to purchase thereafter or continue leases or scale up or down, whatever council may or may not decide this evening. So, on to that's the sort of history. What we had originally discussed at various strategic planning sessions was security cameras and traffic cameras. Not traffic cameras in the sense that they are the type you see that ticket vehicles, more monitoring devices with license plate readers that will allow law enforcement an extra tool that could be used for investigations and things like that. We're not assuming that any of these devices would be devices that you have a staff person or a police officer monitoring on an ongoing basis. That's simply not something we can do with our current staffing levels. But what we can do is use them as an investigation tool, and also there are some monitoring services that come with this agreement that will be useful, I think, in the security context, and I'll explain that in a moment here. To discuss a little about what I'm going to show you up here on the PowerPoint, these are very small type, so I apologize to those folks at home. You can contact me and I'll send you the PowerPoint if you're interested in the technical data. This is essentially in a nutshell, the system that we're talking about. The RSU is a fancy word for the technical box that houses all of the equipment and stores some of the data as well as transmits the data. And then you see the concept of the fixed camera, which would be a more traditional security camera, and the ALPR. LPR is just code for license plate reader. So here is an example of the cameras we're discussing this evening. You can see that the resolution is very good. You can see quite a ways down. And this would be an example not only of something that you could mount as sort of a more basic kind of monitoring device at an intersection, but also something that you could put in a park or another public space where you traditionally have problems that will monitor what's happening, and comes with a variety of analytical tools. You can see up there that these cameras are smart enough that even if someone, you could set a time range when people are not supposed to be in this physical space, and if the cameras notice that someone walks into a park, for example, at nighttime when the parks are supposed to be closed, it will trigger an alert, and the alert will go to a place where there's a company that monitors probably thousands of these cameras, and a person will get on a portable microphone that's on that camera and will, loudspeaker essentially, and it will let the people know that the park is closed, and if you don't leave the park within a certain period of time, that they'll be calling the sheriff's department and dispatching a unit. So the goal really isn't to watch these public spaces. The goal is to deter the types of things that we know happen there, especially in, for example, one place we have a lot of issues is the skate park. So to use that as an illustrative example, you want these types of cameras to be super visible, to be clear that these are law enforcement cameras that are used and can be monitored by the police, so that all of those things that people might do when they don't think they're being watched don't happen. I'm going to have Mario and Sarah from QPCS are here this evening. They're going to get up here in just a moment and talk to you a little bit about some of the detail with regard to how long they can store data. Another thing we really like about the lease model is, under this model, we don't house servers, we don't house data, we don't even own the data. We have access to the data through a web portal. So if the chief or one of his detectives need to look at an issue that occurred, they simply log on, give a date range, and get the information. Alternatively, if they need to actually get that video recording for an investigation, they can get a copy sent to them, which then they can use as a record that they keep. So here is an example of a similar camera, but this is a nighttime view, so you can see still very clear. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing it on my own computer. You can see that very clear at night, and still a lot of visibility with regard to being able to zoom in and see what's happening in any of those public spaces. Moving on to the license plate reader. This is a tool that we feel at a staff level is very useful for more detailed and potentially serious criminal investigations where perhaps you have someone that you're looking for, or you're trying to track movements of somebody that has committed certain crimes. And essentially what this camera does is it focuses in on that license plate. Every single car that passes through an intersection, it takes a picture and logs that license plate. And it gives the ability for law enforcement to sort of retroactively go back and find out what exactly occurred. Mario from QPCS had explained to me that another way it's used is frequently, like, for example, I believe it was the city of Fremont, you said, have a very serious problem with illegal dumping. And so they've been able to actually identify the individuals through their license plate and have been able to kind of track them down and get them to not only brought to justice, but stop illegal dumping. So here's an example. This is purely illustrative of different ideas where you could place some of these LPR type cameras. What I would recommend as we get into the discussion, there's going to be a desire, I imagine, from council and the community to really drill down to where's the best place for the LPRs. I think that the best person to make that decision is going to be the chief and his police department. They know generally where they're going to get the most use out of them. And one of the really neat things about this service that Mario has explained is if, for example, we place one at Oakdale and Patterson and it just really isn't useful for whatever reason, we can have that moved to another location that is useful. They're local, they have all of the necessary equipment to be able to get out there and make the change. So it's one of the benefits of having a local business along these lines. And here's just an illustrative example of how you would place a license plate reader or intersection camera so that you get at least a couple of directions of travel. And again, this is one of those things that our technicians and the police will have to sort of work out. How does it technically work, and how are we going to get the most value for our dollar? In addition, there is a storage device on the actual RSU unit, as well as data that can be transmitted through a 4G, essentially cellular connection. So it eliminates the need for running a fiber line, which can be costly. And if you live in Riverbank, you know that from time to time our internet service goes down. So this is a far more reliable option. It allows you to be more mobile. Here is an example, another example. This would be Claus and Clarabelle of how you could capture traffic coming to and fro. And finally, here's an example, just an illustrative example of the skate park. So the way that one of the reasons we also like it is the power source that typically you can use is if you're mounting these to either intersection lights or city light poles, you can tap off of the power that we already have there, so you don't have to run separate power lines to get to them. One of the questions I got from a member of the public this afternoon was, well, listen, I think that this is a really great idea and a good crime deterrent, but I'm a little nervous. What if these cameras somehow in their field of vision look at a residential property? Mario was explaining to me prior to the meeting that not only can they set them so that they won't, but they also have a tool where they can essentially blur out anything that would be someone's private property so that the video capture doesn't even record that part. It only gets the part that you've selected in the public area. And again, that's the goal, is not to monitor the citizens of Riverbank. It's simply to monitor the public spaces to avoid the issues that we run into. So that's the technical component. The cost component is this is a scalable system. So really you can go from very, very low cost to much more costly, just depending on how aggressive the council wants to be with regard to the program. We would recommend this be a pilot program because there's some additional work we're going to need to do post hopeful approval, which would be some policy development. We're going to need to work out some details with regard to where we think we can get the most use out of these. And also some reporting. We'd like to be able to come back to council in a 6-month and then year-long period and say, okay, here's the value we've got out of these cameras, and where we think we're getting a lot of use, and maybe the areas where we think we're not getting much. So to quickly go through the various options, they're in the staff report on page 3. Option 1 is an 8-camera system, which would be 4 surveillance cameras and 4 LPR cameras. That approximate yearly cost is $22,474 with about a $4,400 installation charge. Option 2 is a 12-camera system, 6 surveillance cameras and 6 LPR cameras at approximate yearly cost of $32,630 and a one-time installation fee of approximately $5,000. Option 3 is an 11-camera system. This would be just 1 surveillance camera and 10 LPR cameras. This would be a yearly cost of approximately $45,683 and an installation fee of about $6,500. And option 4, the most expensive and comprehensive option, to be a 22-camera system, 9 surveillance cameras, and 13 LPR cameras at a yearly cost of just about $75,000 and an installation fee of about $8,100. So, as you can see, the detail with regard to how many cameras can scale any direction. We would, if approved, we work with Public Works staff, our Development Services staff, Police Department staff to really have a conversation internally about the best use for the traffic component of these. Because the other thing we really love about these cameras is these cameras, the LPRs, will give us traffic count data. So they will show us exactly how many vehicles are traveling through our intersections, you know, in whatever time period you specify, which is valuable data because there's only 2 other ways to get that information. You either have to pay someone to stand out and count cars, which I've done personally, and it's not accurate nor fun. And 2, you can run those strips across the road and count that way. We also feel like it may give us a view into some of those higher accident intersections where we can get a real view about what's happening in some of these traffic issues. So that's the cost and placement information. Finally, the financial impact. So as I mentioned earlier, Council established this public benefit fund and established a policy for various types of expenditures that would be appropriate to be charged to that fund. Thus far, all that has been charged are 1 deputy who we hope will start at the beginning of the fiscal year, a code enforcement part-time who is mainly offset by other funds, so there's been minimal into the public benefit fee, and small administration of the fund and finance. So currently the balance, this is as of last week, was approximately $390,000. We estimate we'll collect somewhere between $130,000 and $160,000 for the remainder of this fiscal year, which would take us through the end of June. And even with the expenses we have coming out for a sheriff's deputy, code enforcement, and the small admin of the fund, we estimate an ongoing reserve of about $300,000 in that account. So there's ample funds for the variety of options you have here. The question for council is really, what level are you comfortable with, and or are you comfortable with it? So, Mario, if you wouldn't mind coming to the dais and just addressing some of the technical components, maybe of both cameras, maybe that I missed or misrepresented.
Absolutely, thank you. So my name is Mario. I'm CEO at IntelliSite QPCS, and this is Sarah.
Hello, hi.
And yeah, we're happy to be here. I just wanted to mention real quick that we're very proud to be bringing this forward to the city of Riverbank. We're a local company. I actually spend most of my family time in Riverbank. We live close by and take my family to the movies, and we shop at Target and so on. So we're very proud to be presenting this today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I agree. I'm constantly in Riverbank. My husband's kids actually lived here for a majority of the time, so we are always here and going to the movies here. It's, you know, the best spot to go for the movies, Galaxy. So we would like to, promote our product and see what you guys think, and go over the reasons why we staged what we have up here for you guys. and then maybe just get your take on it and see what you guys think. So.
Could you guys talk more about the blurring out of the residential sections?
Absolutely. So there's a feature called masking. And so masking, you're able to go into the camera and basically identify the areas that need to be masked out. And those would actually be blurred out of the recording. So that video never even makes it into the recording of the video. And so there's privacy at that point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then to add for our presentation, what we were actually looking for was there's not very many residential areas that we are focused on throughout the presentation. If you look for, we were looking for target areas such as schools, the Galaxy Theater for break-in, your Wine and Cheese Festival area, because you want to monitor that on top of what you guys already have, just for backup and that sort of thing, and then your skate parks. So there's not too many residential, other than the school park area, the school area, which I believe is just right down the street. We've seen a lot of trouble in schools lately, so we put one right in front to monitor dropping off and picking up, because you never know these days what's going on for picking up and dropping off, and so it's a big deal for our kids to be safe. So.
Mark, can you speak to the retention time frame of the video and how easy it is to access as well?
Sure. So basically, as you mentioned, the RSU, the Remote Surveillance Unit, that is a product that we patented. And so we've been selling that product for close to about 12 years now. And so there's recording built into the RSU that allows that video to be recorded locally. And so that allows us to record the video at the highest quality, highest frame rate, without having to transmit that video out to the cloud. So the video gets recorded in the RSU, and there's a recording time frame of roughly 90 days. And so that video is accessible. Either police or someone from the city can go in and access that video remotely via the 4G connection and have access to that video, for streaming and evidence reasons. Mm-hmm.
And again, one of the reasons we really like that is we also don't want to be in a position where we are receiving a records request for video every single time someone has a fender bender at an intersection. So again, we do not house or control or maintain the data. We simply have access to it when needed.
I've got a couple questions. One, there is an area along the river down in River Cove that it gets to be a problem every summer. And I'm just wondering, you can erase like the property, but if we wanted, say, the front yards to stay in, because the area down there borders on the street that's right next to the river, and there's a lot of vegetation, and people come there at night and other times overload, then they start getting a little wild because they've been drinking and stuff, and they start going over and they actually start doing things in the neighbor's yards they shouldn't be doing. Could we, I'm not trying to invade their privacy, I'm looking at, could we keep just those front yards in there, at that time if we had a camera there, or would that be an invasion of privacy? Because it's been noted many times that these people that are going down there at the river, they do go over and take things from the residents' yards, or even urinate or do things they shouldn't do in the yard. So how would that be?
Yeah, absolutely. So the RSUs, the fact that they're 4G based means that they can be relocated very easily. Mm-hmm. As Sean mentioned, we actually have an adapter that plugs into the cover light, so we're able to draw power from the street light. It usually becomes a 4-hour install for our bucket trucks and our team to go up there, strap the cameras, strap the RSU to the pole, get power, and then within 4 hours you can be streaming video back to police or be recording video at that point. And of course, we can record what we define on that video view, and at the same time mask out areas that may not be,
And could we move these cameras seasonally if we needed to? Like you're talking about the schools. Well, summer the schools are pretty, not in session.
Yes.
So maybe we could use one of those cameras down there along the river because of the constant problem down there in River Cove.
Yeah.
Can we move them seasonally if we so choose?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Good. Comment on that real quick?
Yeah. No, that would be perfect. We do that a lot already, and we have multiple clients from here to the Bay, and we do that a lot with City of.
What's the cost every time you move it, though? Is there a cost related to that?
That'll be included. So part of our plan is to give you what we call Smart City as a service. And so we pride ourselves in offering smart city solutions with the LPR, the video recording, and so on. So we'll have our team available. We have bucket trucks, and basically we would schedule the call, come out and relocate the camera, and basically let you know that it's up and running.
And I'd like to make another comment. I think having these cameras is a necessity, and it's a good idea to start. And a perfect example is when we had the robberies at the Wells Fargo Bank.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of them, and we couldn't get there quick enough, our police force. Having these cameras might be able to get them on camera so that we can catch them if things like that are happening. So I'm very supportive of the idea, and I like it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had a question. You said that there is, your staff would be monitoring the activity that's on the camera. So are they motion censored at all, or no, just what is being recorded?
So
and is it real time?
It is real time. There's a technology called video analytics. So there's about 300,000 patterns of a person built into the RSU. So the RSU, through the cameras, it's able to recognize a human, basically, or a vehicle, a bike, a boat, and be able to recognize that. And based on rules, if, let's say it's after dark, somebody enters the park, that drives the alarm over the 4G connection back to our command center. And then at that point, our agents can react and do the voice down through the loudspeaker and kind of take, the next step in the response.
Mario, can you explain, because this is a misconception that I had about specifically with regard to the LPRs. The LPRs are not a camera that's useful to be watching an intersection and seeing people drive or, incidents occur. LPRs are data collectors, really. Right. In other words, is there a way to watch them, live, do their thing, or do you just get basically an Excel sheet of license plate numbers?
So you'll have both. We have the LPR and also the color camera. So you'll be able to see the plate that drove by or drove through that intersection and rewind the video and see the vehicle, see the people inside the car, and kind of, be able to distinguish more features.
Yeah,
right?
And it helps a lot too. We have use cases in where, we had somebody like a burglary or something like that. They ran the street light and they were caught by the tattoo on their arm because there was a license plate, identifying the vehicle that left the area. And they had the colored camera to mark the car and the person in the car, with their marking. So it just makes a big difference to have both versus one. What we found out working with the PD, they can't do anything without an LPR. Parks, it's different, but if you're putting stuff on the street, they can't do anything with.
Unless you have that plate.
Unless you have the plate.
And is there a time frame, like can we have a longer or shorter period of retention? Like, for example, you don't want as long a period, it's toggleable,
absolutely,
right?
There's a toggle.
Yes. Do you get much damage with them? Do people throw things at them, shoot at them, or things like that?
Not at all, right?
Good.
I mean, that's we've only had it once in the city of San Mateo, and so we actually had a .22 bullet that hit the LPR camera. It barely made a small dent. It didn't even penetrate the camera. That's about the only instance. We have cities like City of Napa, we're up to about 50 RSUs throughout the city. City of Fremont, same thing, probably about 50 units. And so we have a lot of units out there. City of Oakdale is a good example. They've moved forward. And
City of Sacramento. Yeah, they're all,
and
we're trying to get more local, so.
Yeah.
Say that, we're doing this and it's not working out for us. How long are we obligated with our contract?
It would be 1 year.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I have a question. So I look at the costs and everything, and it seems a little bit too good to be true. There's no additional charges on top of this? Doesn't matter how many times we want to pull video? Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay.
No.
So what's the benefit to you for us to lease rather than purchase? I mean, it seems like the lease is a lot more work for you.
Yeah, so basically what we're going after is we're a local company. We're wanting to support communities, and so we have our local team with bucket trucks. We're almost every day heading out to the Bay Area, and we'd love to do more business here in the Valley. And so that's one of the reasons we're offering this. And so we have our leasing agreements with companies that can help us lease the equipment on our side and basically support the initial cost. And so that's the reason we're bringing that to the city.
Mayor O'Brien, do you have any comments?
Yes, I do. First off, I want to thank you for being here tonight. This is a pilot program that we're exploring. and I hope we move forward with it. This is a tool for the Sheriff's Department or Riverbank Police Services. This is not to replace a deputy, even though we have deputies that we're trying to obtain. We may not be able to because of recruitment. I hope we can, but again, this is not to replace. This is to enhance their vision, their eyes, and as we move forward. Right now, leasing is the most affordable way. If I know it was asked, I don't know who asked it, but if we go for a purchase, then we have to maintain it, and we have to buy someone to maintain it. In my opinion, that over the long run, purchasing another employee to maintain, manage, do data management will be more costly to the city than through the purchase. These are security cameras, and they are cost affordable. Truly, they are. We're going to place the placement of surveillance in other than the LPRs in high probable areas with the ability to move into other locations is an extreme benefit to the city. Cal, I believe it was you who asked, can we move it to certain areas to monitor river activities? Yes, we can. We don't want to move them every day, but we want to move them when we gather data in one area and then we need to gather data in another. One of the big issues is downtown area where we've had some break-ins, let's say along Antigua just recently, some of the other activities that need to be monitored. And when we're done with that, we can move them to some parks that truly need to be monitored, such as Castleberg Park. I'm in favor of the most robust of these options. LPR in high traffic area is a must. LPR is going to track people coming from outside the city who have a stolen vehicle, who have been involved in other incidents, and when we can alert our deputies into action before we become victims, or God forsake that they are intercepting, they're in a crime. One of the things about having a more robust area, a robust system, is that as we move out, at least initially, everybody in this city deserves the same security surveillance, and whether it's downtown, it's along the river, it's at the parks, it's at the school, all along. So if we go most robust, we will be able to experiment where we need them and then either expand or contract later on. Some of our events really need to be monitored, whether it be the cheese and wine, the Christmas parade, and other events, and those cameras can be repositioned to monitor, activities, and not for we're going to be a big brother, but it's more like, we didn't know these activities were going on at the same time, and maybe in the future we could look out for it. Schools need to be monitored. We can start with what we're doing now with one of the schools, maybe partner with the schools and monitor them all to help in the future. But again, I am truly for this program and in the most robust way that we can afford, and we can afford the most robust. So that is my input, and then I yield it back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. There are no other comments. We'll open it up for public comment.
I'd like to hear, me and Kylie have briefly spoken about this.
Okay.
Do you guys mind if we hear from Kylie?
Go ahead.
If Kylie wouldn't mind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You probably already know what I'm going to say, but I would agree with the mayor that the most robust approach is going to truly allow the city to evaluate its effectiveness, because, and they could speak at length on it, I'm sure, but if we do a partial deployment throughout the city and we don't have good containment as far as our imagery and capturing data, then we're not going to be able to effectively assess the value of the system. You know, we're going to have, if we have only some intersections covered, only some problem areas covered, then we'll be able to somewhat assess the effectiveness of the system, but we won't really get a good picture of what it could do for the city. We won't see the true potential of it. And we may have missed opportunities where we have a crime that occurs and you know, they went that way, not this way, and our equipment was this way. And so you know, they didn't do you any good. So that's my opinion.
Chief, I have a question. The most robust one is number 4, option 4, and that has 22 cameras, 9 surveillance, and 13 LPRs. Could you place all those?
I could place all of them, yeah, because you're going to need really 2 LPRs, right, to catch north-southbound, east-westbound to really get a good capture, as well as cameras.
Sean, can you pull up option number 3 on the screen, though, so you could show what we covered? So that's, oh, no, that's not the one. You want number 1.
Oh,
sorry.
that one's not in this. But
okay, you didn't bring it
yeah,
up. Okay.
Because I want, again, what we don't want is...
And we're not bound by those 4 options, correct? Those were just illustrations of...
The only
right.
The only limiting factors are power source and essentially height, right? You need to have it high enough. Yeah.
The other question I had actually is in regards to if you have a intersection where we have a high traffic count coming in and out of the city, but it's a county intersection. Have you explored the possibility of working with the county to do placement there?
It was hard enough to explore it just in city limits, Chief.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We could certainly do that, I'm sure, but that was another thought that I had. There are a couple of other intersections that...
Yeah, and I don't see, you know, I don't want to speak for the county, but I tend to doubt that they're going to have a problem with more data, and we're paying for it. Yeah,
probably not.
And also, I just want to add something. I noticed that my colleagues to my right, when I talked about records, were chatting about what would constitute something that would be our record. Part of our development of this policy will be having to sort of flush that out to figure out how long do we keep these, to what degree do we have to, you know, provide these if they're requested. Some of them, you know, security cam footage, there's some analysis that we're going to have to put into that part of the project. The idea of this item was sort of really a pro forma of, from a business perspective and from a policy perspective, do we like the concept?
Vice Mayor, if I may again.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the other benefits to this is our traffic analysis that can be gleaned from our traffic cameras. The more robust we have, the more we can tell the city of Modesto and to the county that this is the actual numbers, and you don't charge us for improvements in Modesto and in the county for future developments. Right now, they really want to, as the '60s show said, sock it to us. And what we truly want to do is say, hey, this is the analysis, and the fees for Modesto, the county, and for Riverbank should be X, Y, and Z, not comprehensive X, Y, Z for Riverbank. So this, to me, in the first year, could save us $100,000, truly.
Now you comment. I agree with the chief and also the mayor. Originally, I was looking at option 2, but I think you hit something on the nail right on the head by both you and the mayor saying this city shouldn't just have select areas. And in my mind's eye, we could save money with this, and if we went for the final option 4, it's coming out of money that's put aside for safety. This is safety for the public. We don't know how quickly we are going to get another sheriff in our community because there's a lot of hiring going on right now, and it would be a step that would help our police force do their job better until they get that. And I think it would be a good thing for the public and a good thing for us in the long run to help reduce crime and just do other things.
Another question, Chief. So do we need to make public information available about this new program that we're implementing, or what? Do we need to let the public know?
Are you talking about a legal obligation?
Yeah, do we have a legal obligation to let them know?
No, it would be more a matter of whether you wanted to do a public announcement, which in a way we're doing right now. So as far as entertaining the idea.
Thank you, just was curious.
And actually people are already fairly accustomed to this type of technology being in different cities. I mean, you know, if you were to drive through the Valley or the Bay Area, you could just about count every third city having these technologies. Actually, there are a lot of privatization going on too, correct? So they're out there. It's not just public entities that are utilizing them. There are a lot of private companies that are utilizing them too. So it's here, whether or not people know it, acknowledge it, or want it. It's part of our technologies now. So
I could piggyback on that if you wouldn't mind. So we work with lots of other agencies, and what they're doing is partnering with local plazas. So even if this does grow and it's something you guys support, you might want to get in touch with local plazas and see if they're willing to put these up too at a shared cost. So we do that with a lot of other agencies too. So they're saying, hey, we're going to monitor it for you, but maybe you guys could pay for this portion, this kind of thing, and that tends to work out a lot too.
That actually plays into the overall strength of the system in terms of data collection as well.
Vice Mayor, one last thing. Sir, can you address what happens if one of these cameras gets knocked over, gets shot with a .22, and it really does disable it, or just stops working? What happens? What happens under this agreement?
Yeah, so they're under warranty. So if anything happens to them, we'll cover that cost. So. And you know immediately that something's happened? They're actually being monitored all the time. They actually run self-health checks on themselves. So as soon as something's down, we'll know before you guys do. So, and then we'll send somebody out to get something worked on.
One last question. Sorry. About how long would it take to implement the system to get all the cameras up if we decided to go, whatever system, how long would it take to get everything up and running?
Well, the build time, within 3 weeks, just depending on our schedule for being booked. But usually it'll only take you about four days or so to get all these up, 4 or 5 days maybe, max. They are quickly deployed, so. Yeah. So,
Thank you. I want to open it up for public comment, please.
John Dinan, City of Riverbank. I'd like to throw some rain on the parade. When I first read the agenda item and the backup documentation on this project, 3 things came to my mind. George Orwell's 1984, Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, and Benjamin Franklin's famous quote, "If you give up a little liberty for security, you deserve neither." I know this is coming. I was using technology at Los Angeles International Airport in 1972 to monitor parking lots. I just urge the council respectfully, go slow and make sure you've got control. I've heard ownership of the data will not reside with the city but with the company. That is something I think should be investigated a little more carefully. Councilman Campbell, you mentioned, can we put it in cover people's front yards? That makes me very nervous. If people want their front yards covered, they can buy their own cameras. I think you get where I'm coming from. I don't know how much of a population I represent, but I wanted to share my thoughts with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You notice there's not very much space between number 6, between 108 and the skate park. Could you put that other picture up, please, Sean?
Skate park one?
Yes. Just so you guys know, there's residential almost all the way around that park except for the county side, okay? There's residential that side, straight across it, down it. Okay, if we're going to have a camera on 108 and we're going to have it on the skate park, I don't know how far out these cameras go. Are we going to be sandwiched between two cameras? The little pink triangle, is that the limit of that camera, or is it going to go farther out? Now, the picture that you had up there, the other picture you had of it, where it went from the south side straight down to the south of it, that showed the park. It showed Staley Park, and it showed all the way down to Patterson, that one. Yeah. That one doesn't interfere with any of the residential around there. Well, I mean, but this other one with the pink thing, if it goes out farther than that, it's going to shine right on those residents across the street. And blurring them doesn't give me much comfort.
Well, I think what Mario was saying, and maybe Mario can explain a little more, is that it's not that it's blurred, it's that it essentially, the video is not captured whatsoever. So it's almost like you're setting, I mean, a mask over it. So it's.
But those pink triangles, is that just?
It's representation.
Yes.
Representation, so it could go farther out.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, being a resident of that neighborhood, I'm not comfortable with this. Believe me, we've had problems with the skate park, and we've been problems came out before, but this type of surveillance, when you're in between two cameras, I don't, we're not gonna have any notice, we're not gonna be able to see what the cameras are showing, or anything. And there's no notices on the cameras or anything.
Well, so I understand that concern, but I can just tell you from my perspective, I suspect the council's perspective too, we have no interest in any monitoring of people's personal space. In fact, I believe it's illegal for us to, unless it's part of a criminal investigation, to be ongoing monitoring of.
I'm saying even incidental, there shouldn't be anybody should not, no matter where you live, should not have to worry about a camera invading your privacy.
Well, to solve that solution, we could even take it a step further. If for example, you were really concerned about it, we could have a screenshot taken probably of when it goes up and exactly where it's masked, so you can see that it does not infringe on anyone's property. It's probably not that difficult.
How far down First Street are those cameras going to show? Because there's residential on both sides of that 108 intersection.
Really though, it'll only cover the park. It won't go much further than
that.
No,
108 and First.
108 and First.
How far down the intersection is it going to show?
Well, so Mario or Sarah, could you address it, on an intersection, what is it capturing? Maybe a little bit of commercial sides on the end, not really, just the lanes of travel pretty much?
Yeah, just the lanes of travel only.
We're looking for the intersection. We usually look for a vetting process with the chief, basically.
Sorry, we're going to need the microphone.
Here, thank you. So we usually look for a vetting process with either the chiefs of somebody from police. So we review every camera, we look at the masking and basically what we're leaving out on that video. And, I would hope that police basically would have the best approach, right, to be able to mask those cameras out. And Sean mentioned a good option. We've done that before. We email you basically a screenshot of that camera, and that can be made public. So those are options. Mm-hmm.
I need to make a comment. I'd just like to make a quick comment to John, what he said. I agree with you on the 1984 and Aldous Huxley's books. I read them all. But at the same time, the situation that I was saying with the yards, that would only be in a special case where we would talk to that particular neighborhood because they've had a lot of problems, so they would be aware of it. And I'm only interested in using it to catch where it's been a significant problem because thievery has gone on constantly in the area during the summer. But if the residents didn't want it, it wouldn't be done. So we'll try to protect their individual rights and privacy because that is very important, and you were well said with that. But likewise, you said you were using them in 1972. This is just the way the world's going. I think we need to be more worried about the little tiny ones that are going to slip in our houses and be spying on us right there, and we don't know it. So anyway, Good job, John.
Well, I would, being a resident down there, I would actually feel better if I could actually see what they're showing. And as far as the cost, since we have a moratorium, okay, if you extend that moratorium permanently, and you no longer only have the money coming in from the two existing, is that be enough to continue covering it? If not, what other funding are you going to have to take this out of?
At current projections, what we're getting now, assuming when Maricela and I discussed this, we even actually assumed a dip. I can't remember what it was, 10 or 15% based on maybe more dispensaries opening up. And assuming that there's not some sort of, for example, Donna has an application for a non-retail business, cannabis business, that will be paying into the fee. It is clear to me, at least, that for a year-long commitment, there's absolutely no question that we can afford it very easily. Anytime thereafter, we're going to have to review it on a yearly basis. Is this something that the fund can continue to afford? And also the other question, which is it useful and worth the money to do so?
The only other question I had is you mentioned Clarabelle and Oakdale. I believe Clarabelle is still half Modesto, so would they put something into that?
I don't know.
Can I make one more comment? I got a question for Mario and Sarah. As far as is there a way that the system audits the logins and the usages?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a log. We can always review that. We can make that available to the police department. And so the police will have the same access that we have. They'll be able to log into the portal, see the log, see who's logged in, which users have logged in. So that's all built into the system.
Yeah, I think it's important that we limit who has access to that. So.
One more question. What does happen to the date in the long run?
Can I ask, are we still at public comment, or did we bring it back to council?
We're still at public comment.
Oh, pardon me.
So let's remain at public comment.
Any other public comments?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Deanna Garcia, and I'm one of the dispensary owners here in Riverbank, and I just want to say that I'm very happy to see our tax dollars that we're bringing to the city being used in a way that can bring safety and comfort to the city and the residents of Riverbank.
Thank you.
I know I wasn't called, but I was going to be next, okay? Good evening. I would like to know if you please, or I beg you to consider the traffic camera service in the city of Modesto was in for about 12 years. For what I understand, I think every 4-year contracts. So the second 4 years, they started seeing that it didn't really work because they stopped the contract because it was taking more money to pay for the service than the money coming in from the fines or going through red lights. And also they caught out with the speeding. And the benefits of having less traffic accidents at intersections, which was another reason why they've been put in these intersections, Tully Road and Orangeburg and Junction way up there by the freeway. The other one in Bridgemore, on Bridgemore and Knockdale Road. And the benefits of having less traffic accidents at the intersections because of having these cameras was never true. Traffic, the cameras were still the same, and yet the money had to be paid because they were on contract. By the time of the third quarter of 4 years, then they had to stop. they are, well, I shouldn't be saying that, but it's true, that they are having those cameras just to fool people, so they will see the camera, oh yeah, I'm not going to the red light, It's yellow, you're supposed to get ready to stop. Well, they're coming back to that eventually. Hopefully nobody will catch up with that, or the cameras are not working, So I would like you to know that the cost of having the service was overwhelming, and that's one of the reasons why they stopped. The other reason they had put them on was to have less accidents in those intersections. It did not work. It didn't make any difference. So what was the benefit of it? For the traffic camera purposes from Los Angeles, I think it was, Los Angeles area. And I would like you to consider that it wasn't only a waste of money. It was a lot of the people that went to court, they were starting with rigamaroles that it wasn't me or this and that, The camera didn't take it too well, it wasn't my plate, and so on. But anyway, that's additional to the cost that the camera service does. And about the thing, well, I have to say about the ones that are putting them in the parks, I think it's a very good idea, mainly in the summertime. Thank you very much.
Any other public comment? Mayor, do you have a public comment?
No public comment, but when it comes back to council, I would like to make a comment.
Thank you. I close public comment. Bring it back to the council. Any other comments from the council? No, go ahead, Mayor.
Yes, for John and Evelyn, thank you very much for your comments. In this day and age, no matter where you are, whether in your front yard, your porch, or a Target, wherever, you are being surveyed. We're not planning to survey anybody, or surveillance is not going to, if we can avoid, and by blurring out or not capturing, we have no intent to capture any activity outside of where we intend, where we believe activity is going on, such as a skate park, in certain streets, in front of schools. In fact, it's unfortunate we'll be capturing children, but that is part of the surveillance game. We have we'll take great pains to protect any privacy, and we are not here to go after any individual in their front yard. What we're trying to do is provide a sense of security in certain areas. There's going to be flaws. We could even set up false cameras, which could benefit us in the future, but we'll talk about that some other time. But the camera system that we propose is still quite minimal compared to a lot of other cities of a comparable size. There are some cities our size that have 150 to 200 cameras. We're not even proposing that. We're proposing everything that could be construed for public safety and for, in the future, prevention of activities that could lead to crime. Thank you.
Okay.
Councilor, I bring it back for a action.
Can I have my question answered first?
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
What finally happens to all that stuff, information you store? Does it eventually, do you destroy it, or what happens?
It gets recycled. So after the 90 days or the period of retention, that video gets recycled and erased, and basically it's forgotten.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to make a quick comment on, I heard about the red light, and so I just wanted to make sure to clarify that these are not red light cameras. These are cameras for surveillance, and actually the City of Modesto, we've been working with them for about 3 years now. They've increased from 10 to 15, now they're up to about 30 or 35 units, and so they're really happy with the system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve item 6.2 for option 4.
I'll second it.
We have a motion for item 6.2, option 4, and a second.
Council members Campbell,
Yes.
Fossey,
Yes.
Uribe,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Barbara Martinez,
Yes.
Mayor O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Item 7.1, comments and reports from staff.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just one comment. Wanted to communicate to the council and staff two things. One is that heard from Opportunity Stanislaus regarding their event that they had last week. Thanks to the organization for allowing them to use the LRA and its property. The event went very well. It was a great way for us to showcase our economic development here in town. And so they were very grateful to have the use of our space. Wanted me to communicate that to council. In addition, the applicant team for Crossroads West have sent a couple very nice notes to, I believe, council and to myself regarding our staff and their opinion that top to bottom, finance, planning, development services, public works, everybody that was involved in our consultant team as well have been a class to work with, and so it's been very nice to hear from them and appreciate that very much. So thanks to everyone.
Thank you. Item 7.2. Council and Authority Member Uribe.
Just some quick comments. So March 27th, Stanislaus County Opioid Safety Awareness Summit will take place at the Modesto Center Plaza at 8:30. March 29th, I'll be attending the Revenue and Taxation Policy Committee in Costa Mesa. And then on April 13th, I will be helping plant 4 trees at Castleberg Park for Love Riverbank. Hope to see you guys out there.
Councilmember Fossey.
I have no comments.
Councilmember Campbell.
I also will be attending a League of Cities Committee meeting in Costa Mesa along with the Vice Mayor, the Mayor, and Luis, Councilmember Luis Irobi. And I just want everybody to enjoy this weather and hope it stops raining a little bit so I can get some yard work done.
Thank you. And for me, just want to...
Vice Mayor?
Yes?
You're in charge of the meeting.
Oh.
I want you to close it out.
Okay.
So I have my comments, and then you can comment because, and today you sit in the hot seat.
Okay. So, Mayor, do you have any comments?
I do. First off, we have tremendous complex and technical projects on our immediate horizon, and such as the Crossroads West, the North County Corridor, the industrial complex, security issues, developments in other areas. And I'll tell you what, the more that I look at other staffs, the more I appreciate our staff and our council for being extremely competent, efficient, resilient, intelligent. And I'll tell you, your perseverance in all of this is tremendous. I know we just went through strategic planning, and it still doesn't match what we're doing, and we are so understaffed, but we're so overachieving. I think that this says a lot, not only to the council, but to the leadership and Sean, Maricela, and the other directors. That I want to tell you deeply from how I feel coming out here to a city that has 18 staff members more for one individual than they all deserve. So thank you very much for all you do. And Vice Mayor, I want to tell you, great job tonight.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so I'd just like to remind everyone to visit our parks now that the weather is beautiful. We do have beautiful parks all over the city. Thank you to our Parks and Rec Department for working so hard and keeping them very nice and beautiful and pretty for us. I also want to thank the public for their comments tonight. They are very much appreciated. And thank you for allowing me to be your Vice Mayor and Chair for tonight. And if there are no other comments, I will close up now for our closed session. Okay, so for item 8.1, liability claims pursuant to Government Code 54956.95, claimant Mr. Melvin Lindsay, agency claimed against City of Riverbank. Item 8.2, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to subdivision B of Government Code 54956.9, one potential case. Do we have anyone from the public wishing to have any comments on our closed session? If not, we will be closed for closed session. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
as you might have imagined, did not elect to continue the public hearing.
opening of the closed session, report from closed session. Item 9.1, report from closed session on item 8.1, liability claims, Mr. Melvin Lindsay. The council decided to reject. And also need to say that Mayor O'Brien left before the opening of our closed session. So there was a 4-0 vote on the item 9.1. Item 9.2, report from closed session on item 8.2, conference with legal counsel, anticipated legal litigation. Direction was provided to staff. The next regular city council meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 23rd at 6 p.m. And also, are we doing the cancellation of our April 9th meeting?
Yeah,
it has been approved? Okay. So our next meeting is Tuesday, April 23rd at 6 p.m. And good night.
Good night.